So good afternoon. I'm going to present the Drought ForC project, which is a project dedicated to studying the impacts of drought and climate change on the carbon sink of forests. And as has been said earlier by Jean-François Sousana, forests are a major player in the carbon cycle, and they are very important to mitigate our anthropogenic emissions of CO2. And so to study that, we built on three different topical work packages, each aimed at studying one particular question. And the main goal is to study how the carbon sink is impacted, what happens to the carbon after it is assimilated by photosynthesis, and how drought can impact on that. And so we have a first work package that studies the link between carbon assimilation and the allocation of the carbon in the biomass of the living trees. Second work package that studies the carbon sequestration in the soil and the turnover of the organic matter in forest. And the third one that studies the nutritive limitations and how there is what interplay there can be between nutritive limitations and drought to impact the forest carbon sink. To do that, we rely on field experiments and on modeling. So the method that we use, we have actually three different methods, and we use monitoring, experiments, and modeling to study this question. And so for the monitoring, we rely on the long-term eddy covariance fluxes sites. So we rely on the ICOS research infrastructure, where there are different eddy covariance flux towers measuring carbon fluxes in forest, and we have 5 of these sites in France. For experimentations, we rely on rainfall manipulation experiments and use experiment designed to prevent the water part of the rainfall to enter in the soil and create experimentally drier conditions for the forest. And so we have 5 of these rainfall exclusion experiments also disseminated across France in the different forest ecosystems. And for numerical simulation, we rely on 11 and maybe even 13 different process-based forest functioning models that will be used for ensemble simulation and projection in future climate. So the project gathers together a network of 8 experimental sites in France. We have 3 temperate forests in northern France. We have 3 experimental sites with Mediterranean forest that are located in southern France, and 2 plantations, one of eucalyptus in Brazil and one of maritime pine near Bordeaux. So we have a span of different ecosystems types with evergreens and conifers, but also broadleaves and deciduous trees. So about the Drought ForC highlights for the last years, we had the kickoff meeting last year in Montpellier 1 year ago that brought together 37 people from 9 different research units, and we just had the first year annual project meeting last week. So the project has well started. We have hired 2 PhD students. Jeanne Pougon, who will work on the carbon allocation in the living biomass, and Philippine Dubertrand, who will work on modeling the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium cycles in the eucalyptus plantation. We have also had a very intensive field campaigns to collect soil cores in all the sites of the project in order to measure the root biomass, but also the soil and root carbon and nutrient contents, and to install ingrowth cores in all the sites to have the root production that we will have after remeasurements in the future. And our plans for next year are to gather all the data that we need to calculate the net primary production of the trees in all the focal sites, start a common experiment on litter decomposition in all of these sites, also collect and centralize the plant and soil samples to start the analysis for carbon and nutrient contents, format the dataset for the modeling work package, so tasks that will be consistent with the objectives of the ALAMOD PCE and start a new experiment to manipulate soil temperature in 2 of the sites. So thank you. That's all from me.